імені Тараса Шевченка за допомогу в організації цього заходу і надати слово Володимиру Анатолійовичу Бугрову.
Доброго дня, шановні друзі і колеги. Дозвольте насамперед привітати вас в залі вченої ради нашого університету і передати найщиріші слова вітання від нашого ректора академіка Леоніда Васильовича Губерського. Ініціатива цього круглого столу, цього семінару, тренінгу, як і низки інших, народилася завдяки першому заступнику міністра Інні Романівні Совсун, випускниці Київського національного університету імені Тараса Шевченка, так, для довідки, хто не знає. І ця ініціатива в нашому обговоренні була одразу гаряче підтримана, тому що, як буде сьогодні казати Ірина Єгорченко, «No English, no science». Так? Це гасло є на сьогоднішній день абсолютно актуальним. І те, як ми входимо в світове наукове співтовариство, а поки що ніхто іншої форми наукового дискурсу, окрім публікацій і конференцій, тобто доповідей, не винайшов. Тому те, як ми входимо в світове наукове співтовариство, залежить від того, наскільки якісний англійською мовою, наскільки якісний змістовно науковий продукт ми даємо. Я хотів би подякувати програмі Fulbright за підтримку у проведенні, оскільки наш університет має багато стипендіатів програми Fulbright теж. І я думаю, що низка таких семінарів дозволить нам усім більш продуктивно, більш ефективно реалізовувати наш науковий потенціал. Зичу всім хорошої, плідної праці сьогодні і думаю, що кращого завершення робочого тижня, аніж проведення ось такого дійсно дуже серйозного актуального заходу, коли є час для того, щоб обговорити всі ці речі, мабуть, і варто вигадувати. Тому одразу пропоную Міністерству освіти і науки продовжити такі семінари на нашій базі. Дякую.
Дякуємо, пане Володимире. Також я хочу від імені Міністерства подякувати Офісу програми імені Фулбрайта в Україні за те, що вони радо підтримали нашу ідею проведення такого тренінгу, і надати слово Марті Коломаєць, директору програми.
Дуже дякую, Ліно. Доброго ранку. Дуже рада бути тут сьогодні з вами. І мені надзвичайно цікаво подивитися, як такі тренінги будуть проходити. Ми разом із Міністерством науки і освіти вирішили сьогодні є пілотний проєкт. Нам дуже важливо почути від вас, що підходить, що треба знати, що не треба знати. В нас бере участь сьогодні 3 людей, американці, які є в Україні тепер на програмі імені Fulbright. Як ви знаєте, ця програма є двостороння. Українці їдуть в Америку, американці приїжджають в Україну. І справді, як проректор зазначив, це є в університеті Тараса Шевченка дуже багато стипендіатів Fulbright, не тільки американці, які приїжджають тут викладати, але й українці, які йдуть в Америку. Я думаю, що сьогоднішній день буде цікавий, він буде інтерактивний. Ми дуже просимо відгуків від вас, бо ми будемо далі їздити в інші міста, в Одесу, в Харків і у Львів. І хочемо побачити, як продовжувати цю програму, то вважайте, що ви сьогоднішній такий експеримент, і ми будемо дуже вдячні чути від вас різні поради. Дякую.
Дуже дякую. Тепер вже перейдемо, власне, до нашої програми. Хочу надати слово нашому першому спікеру Мішель Васкес, яка проведе інтерактивний тренінг на тему «How to get published in the West and why». Організаційне, якщо комусь потрібен переклад, то, сподіваюся, всі мають. Якщо не мають, то ще можуть взяти на виході.
Hello. Мене звати Michele Vasquez. Я приїхала Америки. Дуже трошки українською мовою. Чуть-чуть. Okay? First of all, I want to have this higher again. Okay. First of all, I'd like to introduce myself. My name, as I said, is Michele Vasquez. I have a doctorate in leadership studies from a Jesuit university in the United States. I'm currently here with the Fulbright program teaching leadership. My primary site where I work is the Ukrainian Diplomatic Academy, but I also work in other universities and with NGOs and businesses. So you might have seen me, some of you might have seen me around speaking at different places or at America House. So my way of presenting is very informal, and this is very uncomfortable to me to have all of you in this circle and me here at this. So please have patience with me as I'm working through how to use this technology. Also, I would like you to feel comfortable during the presentation, if there's something you really don't understand that's causing you not to be able to listen clearly, to raise your hand and to ask me to clarify. Okay? So let's practice. Everyone raise their hand. Okay? Okay, we know you can do this. So please feel comfortable, and if it gets to the point we're running too long, then I'll say no more questions. But I don't want anybody to be held up because they don't understand what I'm talking about. Okay? Everybody shake your head. Say, yes, Michelle. Okay. So first things first, I've changed the title of my presentation based on a conversation that we had with our group a couple days ago. And I think that there's a lot of people that are doing a focus specifically on getting publicized in the West. So I want to talk to you about the benefits and your role in publication and your role as leaders in this, in the environment that you're working in. So that's kind of my topic. Okay. Good. Alexis is over here. So I'll turn once in a while and point to Alexis. Okay. So who amongst you believes you're leaders? Raise your hand. Higher. Okay. Good. So I'm going to ask the question after my presentation, and I hope there'll be a change. I hope there'll be more of you who kind of look at yourself as a leader. Okay? So this response was not unexpected or is not unusual in any country, because we've been trained, Ukrainians and Americans, to believe that leadership comes from the top, the very top, and then everything just filters down to the rest of us. We've also been trained not to say, oh, I'm a leader, right? We don't want to say that. So like, there's something wrong when we stand up and say, I'm a leader. But I propose to you that each one of you has leadership capacity within you. Each one of you does something every single day that shows you are a leader. And I want you to focus on that, because leadership and publication and growth of yourself and support of others is what being publicized and working in a group really means. And you can do a lot to develop your leadership and your community building through publication activities. So that's kind of what I want to focus on today. Okay. I have read, because I have a doctorate in leadership studies, I have read hundreds of books on leadership. Hundreds. Thousands of articles. And when I started my doctoral program in leadership, I knew what leadership was. Like, I had an answer. And the answer, after reading 1,000 books, and hundreds of books and thousands of articles, became less clear to me, until I discovered that leadership really is about people and the relationships they have with others. That's all. It's about the influence you have on others. Okay? If you don't have influence on others, it doesn't matter what position that you have in the organization or in your life. If you don't have influence or you don't have relationships, you are not a leader. Okay? So I want each of you for 1 minute, and I'll look somewhere at a timer. I want each of you for 1 minute and think, in the past week, what influence have you had in a positive way on someone you know, someone you are friends with, or someone you work with? Just one small thing. Doesn't have to be a big thing, small thing, okay? Think in terms of malenki leadership, okay? Duży malenki. What have you done to influence someone, or to help someone, or to support someone in the last week? Okay, so when you're finished thinking, raise your hand, okay? I want you to think of something, just one thing. Think. Ah, there's a quickie. Up, quick, quick, good. Everybody has to think of something. Even the man in the blue jacket, back there in the blue jacket. Is he thinking? Oh, now he's thinking. Okay. Okay. So if you think of what you've done in the last week and something you've done to support someone or to help someone be better, this is leadership. And this is what you need to start thinking of as leadership. Because leadership is not just the huge things that heads of government does, but it's the little things that we do every single day that make a difference in our lives and in our community. Why are you here? Has everybody thought about why they're in the room today? Just shake your head up and down. Yes, Michelle? Okay. We had a discussion 2 days ago, a small group. And in the small group discussion, we decided that there's kind of two groups of people that are here today. First group of people just want to be able to do whatever they need to do to develop 5 articles so that they can become a doctor. Is that right? Yeah, 5 articles, okay? They don't care how they do it, legally, illegally, within the rules, outside of the rules, whatever. And then we have the others, okay? I'm not going to ask you to raise your hands, don't worry. I thought about it, but I decided no. The presentations that we have today are for the others, okay? If you want to get published legally or illegally and have your 5 articles and just have them done, then you can do that. And you know how to do that already, okay? What we want to talk about is all the other things that go with it. Developing respect, developing trust, integrity, ethics, and how to do the process. For our group the other day, this was the goal. So if you'd like now, if you're in the first group, if you'd like to leave, you can. Aisle, don't look. Okay. Next one. I came to Ukraine in 2011 as a Peace Corps volunteer where I lived in Lviv. And what I saw, or what I felt I saw at that time, was individuals in their own boxes. So picture yourself as one of these boxes, okay? And the person sitting next to you is in another box. And what I felt at the time was, in a working world, or outside of your home life, there wasn't very much connection between the boxes. That people were just individuals. There wasn't support, there wasn't a lot of synergy going on. And I think that from my perspective, what I felt at the time was that failure occurs between the boxes, okay? In the space where there is no one to touch, no one to help you, that's when you and others fail, okay? This was when I was here in 2011 to 2013. I came back after Maidan, and I watched Maidan from America. And I saw a change in Ukraine, and a change in how I looked at Ukraine and Ukrainian people. So it went from those boxes as individuals to me looking at Ukrainians as something like this, where Ukrainians reach out for others and allow others to reach in. And it was much bigger than just your home life. So for me, my perspective of Ukraine changed, as I think many of yours did. And it made a difference in my life, and I decided to come back to Ukraine. I see each of you now as puzzle pieces, either waiting to help or waiting to be helped, or wanting to be helped. Okay? It's different. And in publishing, you're going to need a lot of help. And you're going to need to know that you can ask and you can reach out and get that help. And you need to identify who you reach out to get that help. Okay, so imagine yourself a puzzle piece, and this is all of you. You're all sitting there as separate puzzle pieces, waiting to create something bigger. And you can do this through your publication process, partially, and through your life, but specifically through your publication process. So you went from in my mind, the square boxes with space between them, to the puzzle piece reaching out, to all the community of puzzle pieces laying in a big pile. And for me, the next thing that happens is that you come together in something that takes all the colors of those puzzle pieces and makes it into something cohesive and beautiful. Okay? So we went from the boxes to this, and how I look at you, and how I hope you look at yourselves. Okay, next. So when we think of leaders in the setting of what I look at leaders, is I look at a leader as someone who serves others. Not someone who tells others things, but someone who's there to support and grow others. And from my perspective, when I look at a good leader, that leader reaches out to make sure that the people around them are taken care of, from all different kinds of aspects. So let me just run through a few with you and see if you can think of someone in your life, or if you've been this person in someone else's life. Okay, so when you serve people, you help them find their purpose. You know, I have been in many situations where through advising, coaching, support of a friend, the people helped me clarify who I am as a person. And if you can offer that in a supportive way to someone else and make their path straighter and make their goals clearer, you are a leader. Okay? Take part in open communication. You know, when you're a leader, you have to be willing to listen and speak honestly. And it's a two-way street, right? So if people are afraid to talk to you, or you're not willing to talk to them, or you're not listening to what they say, you're not in open communication. I do another presentation on communication and listening. And I take into account not just the words that people are saying, but everything about their physical being, how they're sitting, how they're looking, everything. And you can tell when you're talking to someone or listening to someone whether it's getting heard, okay? So take part in open communication and delve more into understanding what that means on your part. It doesn't just mean repeating after them everything they say, okay? And listening and communication has another piece. It's taking action. So if you hear something through this communication and you're a leader and you can make a difference, you should take action, okay? Next, build healthy teams and communities. In your teams and communities, people will need things that you can provide or that you can find someone to provide. You need to be cognizant and aware of what those things are that people need. Not everything they want, but just what they need. Recently, I was thinking about corruption, big word, and someone told me, as a public servant, they made $75 a month, right? And I wondered myself, if I made $75 a month, would I be corrupt? It's possible. Because if I need to feed my family, and I can't feed my family, you will have corruption, right? So as leaders, think about how you can support people. So maybe you can't provide them more money. You can't provide your friends more money, but maybe you can provide them something else that supports them. A friend of mine in Lviv says, I don't know what to do because I have nobody to take care of my child, and I don't have free time. And I said, I will come and take care of your child, so you will have free time. It didn't cost me anything. It was something she needed, something I can do. So as we go through today, I want you to think in the role of publishing, as you hear myself and other speakers talk, what is it that you can do to help someone else in the publishing world? a friend, a neighbor, a coworker. What is it that you have, what skill that you have to help someone? And this will build a healthy team and a community, because you will find publishing is a team effort. It's a community effort, okay? Empower and encourage others. I once started traveling. I travel extensively, and I was terrified to travel. I was terrified the first time I traveled. I was from a small village, and I had never traveled anywhere. And I sat on the plane next to me, and a man asked me what I was doing. And I said, well, I'm traveling. I'm going to go travel. And he said to me, you can do it. It will be fine. And that was in 1993. And his words, every time I'm frightened when I travel, I remember those words. I'm sure he doesn't. He doesn't remember those words. But for me, those small words made such a difference in my life and changed my personality, changed who I am. So it doesn't take much to encourage someone. It doesn't take very much to show them they can do it, right? So don't be insincere about it. Don't say something that's not true. But when you find someone that has some special traits, tell them, encourage them, help them become what they can be. And you know what? After this, someone will help you become who you could be, okay? Learn to trust others and be worthy of others' trust. I think it's sometimes hard to trust people you don't know and to let them, to develop in them trust from on your side, right? But you have to start somewhere. And you have to start by integrity and respect and ethics. I do not work with people who I cannot trust. It's the first thing for me that will take you off my list. Okay? It's unfortunate. But I need to work around people that I can look up to and that I can trust, and that I could depend on them as team members. And a team member to me means support. Okay? So on my side, I try to do everything in my power to make sure that my relationship with you is one that I'm proud of, and one that shows that you should trust me. Because we all know how difficult it is to build trust and how easy it is to damage trust. So keep in mind, you should be able to trust others and be the person that's worthy of that trust. Now, if you have to say to somebody, well, you know, I cheated on my article, I put in references that don't really exist, or I plagiarized something, how does that, in that effort, build trust with the person? Because if you cheated on an article or a reference, you can cheat on them. So keep in mind, the issue of integrity needs to follow through with everything you do and show in all of your work and your relationships. Because if you start missing the steps, then it's just going to be a fast road downhill, okay? Support the development of a clear vision for a better future. You're all here today because you want to publish. This is a step towards your vision and your future. Being published, especially in a Western journal, will make a difference in your life. I was surprised the other day to learn about the process of publishing in Ukraine, and it didn't seem so good. And the pride that I have in knowing that the works that are done in the United States are pretty much clear and pretty much people's own work, right? And I think that people, as they develop articles in the United States, they have a high standard of what's expected of them as they write an article. As far as the words in it need to be clear, the references need to be clear, the methodologies need to be honest and straightforward. And in America, it is a scandal if that's not done. If that's found out, that you've done something that lacks integrity in writing an article in America, the trust will be gone. And I guarantee you, you won't be published again, okay? We feel very strongly about this. So keep this in mind as you're developing works. Take risks that supports positive change. I teach a course on moral courage in an organization. And a lot of people think that there's problems with ethics in Ukraine, a lot of ethical issues. But I don't agree. I agree, everybody knows, everybody has ethics. Everybody raise your hand if you have ethics. Everybody who's listening, raise your hand if you have ethics. Okay. Now, I'm not going to ask you to raise your hand. How many of you have taken a risk in an organization when you've seen people who lack ethics and you've taken a risk to stand up and say, that's wrong, we're not doing it that way? Oh, well, there's some hands, good. Okay, raise your hand if you've done this. Raise your hand higher. Okay, there's some, that's great. Because for me, that is a risk that you take in an organization. You could be risking your relationship with someone, you could be risking your job, you could be risking your career. But think about what kind of person it makes you to take this risk. And the difference that you could make with those you work with when you're the first person that takes the risk, and then somebody else sees that it's okay to take the risk, right? Think about the example that you set and how the example ripples out to others. To accept commitment. The worst thing in the world is to be working on a team and find out that the person that you're working with disappears for 6 weeks at a deadline, right? The commitment to others and to support others has to be continuing and ongoing. It can't be, well, I support you now because it's Tuesday morning at 10 and I have time. It has to be, I commit to you to support you, and whatever that means. So think about, as you make decisions in your publishing process, in support of others, in your everyday lives, in your universities or wherever you work, about committing to the people around you to support them, and committing to the process, which could either be not speaking up if it's not appropriate, or speaking up when something's really seriously wrong, okay? Commit to those around you and to the organization. Fully participate passionately and show your commitment. And the last one is just to have courage. I'm going to ask you a little bit later, maybe the next slide, but I'm going to ask you, what do you fear? Okay? And there's everyone has, in publications and everything else, things that they fear. So I'll tell you one of mine. I fear when I walk into a party and don't know anyone, that people won't like me. It's terrified. Makes my stomach turn. But I recognize this fear, and it's not really a real fear, because some people like me and some people don't. It doesn't matter where I'm at, right? But generally, people kind of get used to me. But it's a fear that I have. And in my lifetime, it has kept me from going to some really good parties, okay? So you need to recognize what your fear is and develop steps to start having courage to overcome that fear. And as you start to develop and write down things related to your publishing, you're going to need to write down, what do I fear about getting published? Do you fear the process? Do you fear rejection? Do you fear isolation? What is it you fear? And then you need to develop a plan to work through those fears. Like just practical steps. This is what I'm going to do to work through these fears and have courage. And as you write things down and you put them out there, they become less fearful, right? I go to parties now. And yeah, probably people don't like me, but I don't fear it anymore so much, okay? So, again, think about why you're here. Are you here just to get published with these 5 articles so that you're done, or can you be more through this process? Can you be something special to yourself and to those around you? So think about this. Right now in your process, you might be lost, you might be perplexed, disoriented, bewildered. Through the day, we're going to give you some tips on working through those pieces. And what I would like to offer each of you today is my assistance. Okay? I'm not a published person. I have a dissertation, it's been published, but I often help people get published because I'm a process person and I know how to do processes. So at the end, my email address will be up there, and I want to offer to you that if after this session, if you need help or want some advice, you can call on me, okay? I'll be here for sure until June. If we need to, we can set up some sessions to sit down and talk, and I'm open to that. I give you my commitment. I want to help you become published, okay? So, what I would like you to think about while you're here is that you're here to support community and relationship building. I know that's not why you came, but hopefully it's what you'll have when you leave. I want you to think of your publishing not just as a check the box to get things done so that you can get your dissertation done, but as a career development. And especially if you publish in the West, where people have very strong belief systems about articles and journals, okay? I want you to think about this today as the first step towards you developing relationship and reputation in the international community, because that's what your publishing is going to do. You're going to build relationships, you're going to build friendships, you're going to build working groups with people all over the world that can support you and that you can support. And today is the first day towards that step. I want you to develop a feeling of pride and deep dignity in your work. And you can't do that if you copy someone else's work or you cheat on the references. It's not possible to have pride in something that isn't real. So when you put something down on paper, make it yours. Make it something that you can show to people without embarrassment. And imagine how much that will mean to you 5 years down the line when you can still look back and know everything in my article is really good and really well done, well written, well documented, well studied. Because in 5 years it will mean something to you. I had a friend the other day, we were talking, I have a doctorate, he has a master's. I won't tell you what in because he has a master's. And I wrote a 395-page dissertation. And every painful word in that dissertation is mine. And I know that. And every single reference is real, and every single reference has been read. No question. I'm proud of my degree. When I asked him about his degree, he said, well, I did a thesis, and I was about halfway done with my thesis, and I didn't finish it. And my professor called me and said, you didn't finish your degree. And he said, nope, I live in Russia for now, I'm not finishing my degree. And she said, okay, you give me some money and I'll finish it for you. So he has a master's degree. It's finished. He has this he can put on anything, but it doesn't mean anything to him. And that's the same way the articles will be to you. If you do it, and you do it yourself and with quality, it will have long-term meaning, like my doctoral program. And if you don't, it'll be like his master's. He's a bright guy, very bright. He could have finished this himself. But the system wasn't set up for him to do that. So you need to make choices in your own work to go in the direction so that you can later have pride and integrity in your work. Oh, and by the way, you're here to get published. So hopefully we'll help you do that too. Next. So, everyone, I would like people to think of 5 things that they fear. So write down 5 things you fear. Could be anything. Could be about publishing, could be about life, could be about getting on the marshrutka every day. Oh yeah, that's my fear, not yours probably. So, everybody write. If I don't see you writing, I'll point at you. Ah, the man in the blue jacket is writing, good. It appears you're taking this very seriously. It's very good. It's very good. Because you know I'm going to call on you. Anyone need more time? Don't be afraid. Okay. So first, what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to sit with the person next to you and make sure nobody's left out, but sit with the person next to you and talk about these five or four or three or one fears that you had. So I want you to turn to the person next to you now, even though it's painful and you're frightened, lady in the purple shirt. So, turn to the person next to you. Because talking about what you're fearful of will help you to not be fearful. Trust me. Yes, you too. Turn to the person next to you. Будь ласка. And you don't have to tell them anything you're embarrassed about. So this isn't like taking off all your clothes in front of somebody. Just tell them some things you're comfortable with sharing. I don't need it to be painful. Painful is later.
Painful's later?
Yeah. It's not true. There's one guy that... What?
Yeah, I have that fear of the marshrutka also.
You got what?
I also have that fear of the marshrutka.
Well, it's better now to have my phone that has the map on it, because I know where to get off.
Okay.
But in Lviv, I just never do anything. I'd end up in the middle of nowhere. I had that happen the last time I was in Lviv. Still, even with my phone, I'm like, why the heck is this going this direction? It doesn't say that on my map. Luke is terrified about getting on a marshrutka.
Really?
I don't think he ever does. I don't know for sure, but I don't think he ever does.
He's doing Stamp Fake this week, so
He's what?
he's doing Stamp Fake, you know, the TV, the 5 minutes
Oh, yeah,
of TV.
yeah.
So he's doing it on Sunday. I'm sorry, well, you know, it's 12, so we hard to take anything so serious.
Who's the target audience for this?
Whoever watches YouTube.
Okay, so hopefully everybody shared with somebody. Is that right? Is there anyone here that did not share? Go ahead. I challenge you to raise your hand if you did not share with someone. Everyone shared. Good, good. Okay. Now, I want you to look at this list that you developed after talking with somebody. I want you to write down 3 things for one of these pieces. 3 things, 3 steps or 3 ways to manage this. that you think that could help you get past this fear, right? If you're a logical person, write down logic. Something's logical. If you need a relationship to help you, if you need a friend to help you, if you need to go, I just got back to Sri Lanka, and now I'm not afraid of anything. So if you need to go to Sri Lanka to overcome your fear, but write down 3 things that will help you overcome this fear. We don't want any things that are fantasy. Make sure that they're all things that are doable. Okay? So, would someone, and I'm not going to point at people because I don't want to make it painful, but could someone share with us one thing that they're fearful of and some things that they wrote down? You guys, you have to stop whispering. Thank you. Could someone share with us something that they've written down that you feel comfortable about sharing? Come on, take a risk, and then tell about the 3 things that you've written down to help solve that fear. Come on, take a risk. Raise your hand. This fellow, this smile, I think you have one. Oh, no. He's looking the other way. Okay, I don't want to call. I'm not going to call on anyone, but I need volunteers. Oh, good. Okay. What's your name?
Okay.
What's your name?
So first,
Olga.
Olga
Дуже
Yashenkova.
приємно. Yeah.
Yes. First, I have to mention my fears. Yeah,
Yep.
is that right?
So just one.
Just one.
Yeah.
Okay. My fear is that I'm not qualified enough just to have my paper published.
Olga, I already know that you are qualified enough.
Okay, thank
I already
you.
know.
Thank you.
Okay, go on.
But I think that I need support from my colleagues.
Uh-huh. You need some what from your
From
colleague?
my colleagues.
Help, support, yeah?
Yes.
Help from your colleague?
So just
Yep.
to hear such words
Yep.
that I have
Yep.
enough knowledge, you know,
Yeah.
just to try at least to.
And
to
Olga,
try.
are your colleagues here today? Are some of your colleagues here in the room?
Not here.
Not here. Okay,
No.
we'll talk to them. Okay?
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Well, and maybe I need the support from my friends as well.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
So just.
Okay.
It seems to me.
So let me
Yes.
ask you a question, Olga.
Yeah.
Do your colleagues or do your friends know that you need support? Do they know this?
Maybe.
And maybe not.
You know, but they think that I'm very confident.
Yeah.
You know, but in
Rosamia.
fact,
Yeah, Rosamia.
I try to hide that I have some fears.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
You know, it's hard when you're seen as somebody who's confident for people to recognize you have fears, right? Because confident-appearing people pretend not to have fears. So oftentimes when people don't know you have fears, they can't support you because they don't know you need this.
I see.
So you need to make sure that you communicate with the people to say, I need your support in this because I have fears. And I guarantee you, once they understand that you really do need their support, it will make them feel good that you've asked them and that you've trusted them, right? And they'll give you the support, okay? It's good.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I know many people who have been published, right? And, you know, you don't have to be brilliant to be published. So even, I don't know you, Olga, I think you're brilliant, but maybe you're not. But you don't have to be brilliant. Publishing is a process. Writing is a process. You have to write what you care about, what's important to you. You have to put it on paper. You have to get it fixed in the correct format and push through the steps. So I don't think there's anyone in this room that could not be published in a real journal with real references and your own writing, okay? But in your case, Olga, just tell them you need their support, okay? And tell them what that looks like to you, and they will help you, yeah? Okay, someone else want to share a fear? Come on. I'll wait. We'll wait here. Come on, Olga did it. Come on. Come on. You can, yes, you can do it.
My name is Tanya.
Say again.
Tanya.
Tanya?
Tanya.
Okay.
Tatiana. And I'm afraid of failure.
Afraid of failure.
Yes.
Are you a failure?
No.
Okay.
I think no. But it's constant fear that I do something wrong.
Yeah.
And to be mistaken again. And the only thing that can help, I think, is practicing. Just trying again and again.
Yeah.
And maybe some support from the people whom I trust and whom I adore, maybe.
Yeah. But you haven't ever been a failure, Tanya. Have you been a failure?
Yes, a couple of times.
Nee. I don't think so. So, you know, all of us fail at something, like something specific. It's how we learn.
It was in my, I faced failure in my work, and I had problems with people whom I trusted in my work. So that's why I'm afraid. So to overcome being a failure, maybe you need to have more people that you can trust to support you. So the right people. So when you think about the fears that you have and how you can overcome them, so how did you, in your list of how you could overcome this fear, what did you write? Practice and not to stay, practice, just practice.
And you're writing? Or what?
Yes, I've written it.
So one thing that's really important, and for me and for everyone, is that when you're writing, you need to have other people review your writing, right? So before you send it out and you show the world how good or bad a writer you are, you need to share your writing with someone who, one, you can trust, right, that supports you, but two, the person that will give you really critical feedback, but who loves you, right? First person you share it with. So when they give you feedback on your writing, it won't be, this is terrible and I don't love you. You need to have someone in your life that's a critical thinker that you can give your work to, and they could say, I've seen you made some mistakes here. This is how maybe you could make it a little bit better, and I still love you, right? Because we all fail, but it doesn't mean we're failures. We all fail on tasks, but we need to start looking at it as that task I failed at, not I am a failure. And the problem that we have is that if we fail on a task, we think of it in terms of I am a failure, and it stops us from moving forward, okay? So build into your process places that where you feel that you could be identified as a failure in your heart for people to support you. Those people that are critical thinkers that will make your work better, but that will still love you and that know you're not a failure. And then over time, this feeling of failure will be diminished because you'll be practicing, you'll be getting the right support, and it'll go away, okay?
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Next person? Come on, come on, come on. We're going to do 2 more people. I didn't want to call on, oh, I see a face. I see someone who wants to, over here on the left. Maybe in sort of, what color of jacket are you wearing? Like blue-greenish, light blue-greenish with sort of red right here. She's looking around at other people. Do you want to bring up your idea? I won't call on you. Будь ласка. Okay, anyone else? We need 2 more people. And we'll wait. Be courageous. Aha, super.
Hello, my name is Sabina, and I have read that I saw young to do some publication in international journal, and I haven't many experience, for example, to do this.
How young are you?
I'm 23.
You're quite old. You're quite old. First of all, nobody knows how old you are when you submit a publication for writing. It's not a questionnaire that they say, how old are you? So it doesn't matter how old are you, as long as you have the right things to say.
And if I haven't PhD degree, for example, and only master's, can I do this?
Say again?
I haven't PhD degree, I have only master's degree. And can I do publication, for example?
Yes, of course. Yeah. I think most work is not done by a PhD. There's very few PhDs in the world, especially international. There might be more in Ukraine because of the educational system, but all over the world, I looked up the number of PhD people once, and it was 2% in America. 2% of people in America have PhDs, so the rest don't. So the fact that in an international journal, the fact that you don't have a PhD is not going to be very constraining to you. It's not going to hold you back. And someone over here, I heard, thought that you might not, what you're trying to say is maybe you don't have enough experience, perhaps, or something. I don't know if that's true or not, but I do know that your age is never going to show up on a piece of paper as long as your writing is of quality, okay? Guaranteed. I want to tell a small story about a young girl who's 12 who made a difference in America that I saw a movie about recently. She was 12. She's probably 14 now. And this little girl was given seeds by her school. And she had seeds to grow cabbages. And so she grew cabbages in her backyard. And she had a cabbage that was like this big, right? And she started with this one cabbage. She started feeding people soup with this cabbage, right? And she started a program of people growing things in their backyards and then giving away food, boxes of food or soups or different kinds of things. And now she's famous in this world for being a person who at 12 started feeding homeless people, okay? So age does not matter when you're making a difference. If you're writing something good and something that's innovative, it doesn't matter how old you are. Did you write down 3 things that would overcome this fear?
Yes, I have 5 publications in Ukrainian scientific journal.
To write in a Ukrainian journal?
Yes, Ukrainian.
Okay. 3 things. Do you have 2 more?
No, thank you.
Okay. So that's a good step to start getting involved in writing in a Ukrainian journal. And as you go through the process, make sure you have people that will give you feedback on your work. Someone who you can trust to give you honest feedback. And so that way, you can take out the elements of the piece that make you appear too young, right? The wording or the style of wording that makes you appear too young, have somebody look at that specifically. Tell them that's what you want them to look for, and then when they do the editing, they can help you with this, okay? I can't offer to help you because my Ukrainian is so bad, but someone can help you. Okay. Okay, one more person. Yes, sir.
Я Євген Кирилюк, і в мене такий страх зумовлений тим, що я не знаю англійської мови. І боюсь, що той, хто не знає англійської мови, той нині вважається в науці невігласом. І от я вже опублікував дуже багато і маю ступінь доктора економічних наук, а не знаю англійської мови. І потрібно, як цю проблему розв'язати, потрібно працювати над собою. А що ж, навіщо мені вже працювати над собою, якщо вже в мене є науковий ступінь? Отака комплексна проблема.
Learning English is дуже складний. So to make yourself feel safer, you should start to learn English, of course. Right? When will you start? When? Коли?
Я вже працюю.
Сьогодні. Сьогодні. Завтра, до завтра, коли?
Я вже трішки працюю з дружиною.
Окей, супер, супер. Коли? When were you working on it?
Після 8 березня.
Okay. After International what? Okay, write this down. Write this down. You have a pen? Okay, write this down. I promise to Michelle and everyone else in this room that I will start learning English on March 8th. Oh, excuse me, March 9th. Right? Okay. It will take you, okay, period. So do you promise? Raise your hand if you promise. Promise? Super, great. Okay, so but it'll take you a long time to learn English, right? Maybe a week or two. I would never want to have to learn English myself. So trying to learn Ukrainian and Russian, but I think both may be easier than English. So it's going to take you a long time to learn English, and your English might not ever be at a level to get you published directly as a writer. So a suggestion, and you're thinking about it, is writing with other colleagues who write English, okay? So having other colleagues who write English, or having a very good editor or a translator that you can really trust to make sure that your words are written correctly and your ideas and your concepts are captured in a way that will do you justice, okay? So what you need to do is you need to reach out and find people to work with that will add to your community and help you to publish. So being published, especially scientifically, if you're a scientific guy, being published with multiple names on the article is not a negative at all, okay? And it will add to your body of work. So you need to find other people to support you that speak English, because it's going to be a while till you learn English after you start on March 9th, okay? Did you have some ideas of your own to work through?
Звичайно, на цю проблему накладається ще одна – аналіз зарубіжних джерел. Оскільки ти не знаєш англійської мови, ти не можеш повноцінно проаналізувати усі зарубіжні джерела з цієї тематики. І тут теж є боязнь, що ти другий раз видумуєш велосипед.
Does he have a solution? Does he have a solution? Це великий проблем. Дуже великий проблем. This is why you need partners. Okay? So, think about who you want to partner with you. Somebody good. Okay?
Дякую.
Okay. Okay, I think that's enough. Did I call in 5 people? 4 people? Does anybody else want to volunteer? Okay.
It's difficult for me because I kind of have to stand up.
Okay.
And go here. Well, I'm afraid that people will think I'm not smart enough.
Yeah.
And that's actually not the case. People usually think I'm smart. But I feel like they have too high expectations of me.
Yeah.
Do you hear me?
Yeah. Okay, thank you. And do you have some ideas about how to overcome this problem?
I need more education. I definitely need more education, and I need people to give me some slack because I'm not that smart, as smart as they think.
Are you as smart as I think you are? Say yes, Michelle. Say yes, Michelle.
Yes, of course.
One thing, just on a side note, one thing when you become a doctor, like, you know, I became a doctor, right? I didn't become a doctor to be famous, and I didn't become a doctor to get more money or anything like that. I just like going to school. But one thing when you get to be a doctor is that you never have to care if anybody else thinks you're smart enough. So when you become a doctor, even if you're not smart, people will think you are, and you never have to prove it to anyone. So it's a gift that in America cost me like $60,000, but it's really a good gift. You know, there's always going to be people that don't think you're smart enough. or make you think that you're not smart enough. The goal is to be surrounded by people who know how much your potential is, how much you can do. You don't have to be the smartest person. You have to have the potential to do well and to make change, right? So if you're surrounded by people in your personal life who think you're not smart enough, I'd say do pobачення, okay? And don't think twice about it. Why do you want to have people in your life that don't think you're that smart, right? You want to have people who know how intelligent you are and know how good you can do. There's always going to be people in this room. There are people in this room right now that think I'm smart. It's guaranteed, at least one or two. There are people in this room that wish I had not come here. Guaranteed, 50 or 60, right? You have to know inside of you what's important and how to get things through a process. And if you know that deciding whether or not someone thinks you're smart enough or not isn't going to matter as much. So I think that as you start doing this process, and Nate will be here later to talk more about the process, that you'll become more comfortable in the process of getting published, and then you'll realize that those people who think you're not smart enough do not matter, okay?
Thank you.
Trust me, okay? Say goodbye to them. Okay, what do I need to move forward? Can you quickly jump to the next slide so I can, okay. Okay, go back. Okay. So we're going to talk next about this piece of paper that you've been given a handout that says gap analysis at the top. And this isn't an assignment that I need you to complete at this moment, but what I want you to do is based on what we've talked about this now during my session, as well as during the other sessions of the day, I want you to start identifying what you need to get published, right? Today I heard people need support system around them that supports them, okay? So when you think about what you need, you say, okay, I need a support system, right? It's too vague. You need to start identifying what that support system looks like. Who is that person or people that you will look to for your support? So it can't be just generally, well, I need to be happier, I need to be smarter, I need to speak English. You need to say, I need this, and this is how I'm going to obtain it, in specifics, okay? So think about, as we're doing this, you're doing this analysis, and what I want you to do through each session is to write down the things that you hear about in each session that you think, oh, I'm not very good at that, or I could need some help, or I don't know how to do that. So that you can start developing a map and directions of how you can get what you need, and so you can start thinking about who you need it from and how to get it from them, okay? So it looks like this gap analysis. We call this a gap analysis. So some things are tasks. For instance, you're going to find out from Nate this afternoon about how to look into journals to find out if they're the right journals for your publishing. Okay? That's a task. So if you don't know what journals that you would like to publish in, you should write down as a task, I need to identify which journals are appropriate for my topic. Okay? And the current status. Your current status as of now, for example, could be, I am nowhere in this process. I have not started. Okay? And then the status that you want to be in is to identify the journals. Okay? Next piece is that you need to write down the steps. And when Nate, he's over here in this empty chair, when Nate starts talking about that this afternoon, listen carefully to what he says about the steps for finding a journal, right? And he's not going to tell you everything that you need to know. And I know Irina are here also to help you with this, but they're not, in this very short period of time, None of them are going to be able to tell you everything you need to know. So one of the things that you need to write down is find out everything I need to know. Okay? This is a very short session today, so we won't provide you everything, but it'll start providing you with a hint about what you need. Okay? So go through the day and start identifying those things that you know that you're going to need support on, right? For instance, if we talk about fear, or if we talk about lack of experience, or our writing skills, or whatever, there will always be ways in which you can overcome these situations. And one of those ways is practice. If you're afraid of somebody reading your writing, I was afraid in my doctoral program that my professors were a lot smarter than me. And when they read my writing, they would finally discover I wasn't smart. So I started giving it to them in small pieces so that at least their comments back to me wouldn't be, "You're really stupid," right? And as it turned out, they didn't have so many big comments. They had small comments. Maybe when you put them together, they thought I was stupid, but they still gave me a degree. So keep in mind about, as you're going through these tasks or these skill sets that you need, to make sure you write down the steps you need to go to get them, okay? And not broad steps, really specific steps. For instance, if you need to be a better writer, let's say your writing is too big, you use too many big words, then you should write down as a step, I really need to go to a writing class, or I need to go to someone who's going to give me critical feedback on my writing so that I can start to identify what needs to be corrected in my writing skills. Okay? So I want you to, through the day, write down your steps, and at the end of the day, we'll talk about this a little bit, and we'll find out what it is that bothers you most, and maybe we'll see in the room if there's somebody that can help you. Maybe there are people here in this room that have sat through the same sessions that might say, I can help you with this. I don't know you, but I think there might be some people that can help. Okay, and then the last one is the timeline. And I'll use this gentleman in his English as an example. If he put down the steps, he doesn't feel good enough to write an article because of his English, and he wants to write an article by the end of this year. Putting down learning English by the end of 2016 is not valid, because it's not going to happen. So when you think about the steps that you need to go through, you need to think about how they fit together and whether they're achievable. And if they're not achievable, then you need to think of an alternative way to meet that need. Okay? So like we talked about with him, he's not going to learn English by the end of the year. But there are other things that he can do to take care of this need by the end of the year. So those are the steps that he needs to identify and put on a reasonable time frame. Okay, still English should be on his list, right? But a timeline for learning English that's realistic. Because putting fake timelines is not going to really do you any good, and it's not going to create success. Okay. So at the end of the day, we're going to review this analysis a little bit. We're going to talk about it a little bit for a few minutes, and we're going to see if you've learned anything. Bad woman. We'll see if you've learned anything, or if there's any ideas that came to your head that you can share with others that we can all learn from. Okay? Okay. Now I want you to sit for a minute, and yes, I'm going to call on people. And I want you to make a short list of what you can do to support others in the publishing process. What skills you have that might be useful to somebody that you can help, okay? And it doesn't have to be a skill that you help them and the same person helps you. But imagine if you help someone and somebody else helps you, right? So think about if there's anything you can help. Are you a good writer? Are you a person who thinks logically through a project? Are you a person who can edit well, right? Are you a person who can motivate someone and be support? Everyone in the room has something they can do. So think about what you can do. Are you someone that can help somebody with their kids to give them private time for writing? It doesn't have to be specifically focused on writing, okay? So just write a couple of things down. Everyone. You guys, this looks painful to you, just so you know. It's like, oh my God, she's making us do this. What's the time? I'll make it. If you write it down, it makes it real. Okay, so I want you to think about that and think about how we can use that, okay? So hopefully the Ministry of Education is putting together, hopefully the Ministry of Education is putting together some kind of a listserv or something that can get people to cooperate. We'll talk about that later. Okay, keep this in mind if you get a request from the Ministry of Education or someone else of ways you can support others. And when you support others, they'll support you. So that's the way things are. Okay, let's go on to the last piece. Okay, so you're going to find a lot today about details of getting published. Step one is to have a story or have a topic. How many of you already have a topic, a story to tell? Raise your hand. Okay, let me ask again. How many of you don't have a topic or a story to tell? Raise your hand. Really high. And is there only one? Just one gentleman is brave enough to raise his hand, maybe. Okay, so the first thing before you can do any of this is you have to have a topic or a story to tell. This, especially in the West. So you need to be original, innovative, have research around it, have a methodology, and you have to have quality references. Because if you don't have all of this, you will not get published, okay? So the first thing that you need to do in your life, if you don't have a topic, is that you need to sit down and go through a plan to develop your topic, okay? It needs to be focused, not too broad, and it needs to be achievable. And we'll learn later about the different kinds of journals that are out there, but if you don't have a topic, you can't even search journals. Right? So this step one is you have to have a topic. And you have to identify who in the world cares about your topic. Somebody has to care, because if your topic is a topic that no one cares about, you're not going to find a journal that's suitable. So you need to identify who's your target audience, who cares about your topic. Okay, somebody, and this will get you started in looking for a journal, okay? Okay. So, let me, can we go back to the first slide? I think it's on the first slide. Slide one. So, that's all I have for today. If somebody has some questions they want to ask me, do we have time now? We have 3 minutes now for questions, but also if you're not comfortable asking me in the group, I'll be here at the break and I'll be here at lunch, so you can also ask me. Oh, let me give you my email address, okay? My email address is aviandme@mail.com. You know what? We'll give it to you later. We'll write it down. So, and I want to make sure everybody knows, I was very sincere. I am here with a Fulbright program until June. I'm very sincere about helping, because I'm still kind of a Peace Corps volunteer at heart. So if there's something that you need that you think I can help you with or some feedback, I would like you to call me. I would like you to email me, okay? And I'd like you to feel comfortable doing that. And then we'll arrange some time to sit down and talk. Okay? Okay. Okay, that's all I have for today. Any questions? Any questions? Come on. No questions? Okay, so late. Oh, good question.
Дозвольте, будь ласка, у нас велика проблема в наших науковців щодо роботи з відомими науково-метричними базами і журналами науковими, які входять до цих баз. Наприклад, якщо бази даних Scopus і Web of Science, то наші науковці просто до них не мають доступу. А спочатку ж потрібно визначити, в якому журналі публікуватися, де є цитування з цієї проблеми. У нас міністерство запровадило Web of Science, але от нашому університету дали доступ на тиждень, а тепер вимагають кошти за це, за доступ до Web of Science. І так далі. Тобто в нас фактично немає доступу в наших науковців до цих журналів. Чи не міг би фонд Fulbright допомогти в цьому?
Okay, so you... This is Mrs. Fulbright
Можна
here.
я дам
Mrs.
трошки
Fulbright.
відповідь? Питання до університетів, до керівництва університетів. Доступ до баз даних – це дуже важлива річ для того, щоб забезпечити нормальний освітній процес і наукові дослідження. Тому, в принципі, зараз, я думаю, керівництво університетів всіх має бути зацікавлено в тому, щоб забезпечити такий доступ і для своїх співробітників. Тому і ми ще поговоримо більш детально про бази даних пізніше трохи.